Jordan's death falls under police scrutiny, and Tessa and Aria go missing. Today on The Young and the Restless, Victor questions Claire, Victoria, and Nikki about Jordan's death, Sharon and Cameron part ways, and Nate updates Amy on Damien's Secretol products and services featured or independently chosen by editors. However, soaps.com may receive a commission on orders placed through its retail links, and the retailer may receive certain auditable data for accounting purposes. At Nate's penthouse, Amy apologizes for missing dinner. The flight from LA wore her out, and she went to her room for a nap. As they sip tea, Nate and Audra assure Amy they are happy to have her there. That's enough for her if she wonders if there is news from Damien. Nate admits there is. The PI sent them an update, and it turns out that her son is not as down and out as they had thought. He explains that both of the companies her son works for are owned by the same parent company. Denise discovered that Damien is the owner of that parent company. Amy doesn't see how that is possible. It makes no sense to her. Nate agrees that something isn't tracking. His half-brother was supposed to be a lost soul. Amy points out that he came to her for money only a few years ago. If what Denise discovered is true, however, Damien is actually a hugely successful entrepreneur. How could my son accomplish this without me knowing it? Amy remarks that her son could be extremely motivated, so perhaps this is possible, but she believed Damien had lost all his drive and focus. It feels like there is more to it. Audra wonders why Damien would hide his prosperity. What Nate offered him is less than he has. What's his motivation? Wonders Nate. Amy speculates that her son suspects something and is coming to put Nate to the test. Hastings thinks it's time to be honest with his half-brother. He's made the initial connection and he's coming to Genoa City. That's what they wanted. That was Amy's dying wish. Amy has dreamed and hoped to see her son again. Audra tells her the opportunity is there now. Amy knows she needs to make a full confession to her son, but part of her is afraid she will lose him again. Nate and Audra assure her that they will be there to support her as much as they can. Nate says Damien will be arriving tomorrow. This is all very soon for Amy. Audra repeats it will be okay, and she will do great. Amy remains afraid she will push him away again. This could be her last time seeing him. Audra adds it could also be the beginning of something new. Nate agrees, urging Amy to use the power of positive thinking and work on getting better so she can have more moments with her son. He meant what he said when he offered to help her in any way he could with her health care. It would be an honor for him to look for more options for her. Moved, Amy tells them how much their companionship and generosity mean to her. Wiping away the tears, she hopes Damien can join their merry trio. At Sharon's place, she admits to Nick that her mind is still racing. There must still be some PCP in her system, but she's been rehydrating since she got home. While she was captive, her mind started going over everything that had happened in the past few months, starting with the hallucinations of Cassie. Sharon had so much rage and anger at Daniel. It caused her to do horrible things. Nick says that wasn't her. She knows, but she still said horrible things to Daniel and his family. She has so many regrets for what she did. How will she ever get past them? Thinking about this all at once is too much for her. They sit on the sofa, and Nick reminds her there is no need to rush this. Sharon knows she was taken advantage of, and the drugs change her whole world view. But she can't totally let herself off the hook. She tried to cover up her crime and frame an innocent man. Her actions also messed up the police investigation. It's hard for Sharon to understand how Nick and the kids can forgive her. He reminds her that they forgive and believe in each other when needed. From the very beginning, he never believed Sharon was guilty. Nick's sure that she will heal in time, whether it's with professional help or family. Sharon wishes she could leap to being better. Putting his hand on her knee, Nick reassures her she will get there. Sharon still wants to make amends to Daniel and Lucy. Assuring her she is strong and will find a way forward, Nick hugs her. Walks him to the door. She says she'll soon calm down enough to sleep soon. He admits that his mind went to a bad place when they were forced to consider that they might lose her. Nick doesn't know what he would have done if that had happened. Hugging her again, he leaves her alone. At the Newman Ranch, Nikki pleads with Victor to let things go for tonight. They are all exhausted and stressed out and don't need to relive it all immediately. He still needs answers and complains that they lied to him and went rogue. Victoria says this was not her mother's fault. Claire admits it was her plan to knock off Jordan. Victor worries that his team is being questioned by the cops. He told them that Jordan committed suicide, but there are a lot of holes in this story, and there will be more questions directed at them. Victor demands to know when they found out Jordan was on the loose. Claire explains that she saw her today. Her grandfather thinks going to see her was crazy. Claire insists that she wanted to handle her aunt by herself, even when her mom and Nikki begged her not to. Jordan tried to destroy her and use her in her plot to kill the family. Jordan had to die, Claire insists. Victor doesn't think she should have tried to do this on her own. Continuing to take all the responsibility, Claire says she needed to be the one to end her aunt's attacks on her family once and for all. Victoria chimes in to say that Claire is not telling him the truth. They knew about Claire's plan. Nikki admits they agreed to help her. Victor can see that Claire is just trying to protect her mom and grandmother. Sighing, he asks how she planned to cover up her actions and starts poking holes in her story. Did she even have a plan for disposing of the body? He can understand her wanting to get rid of her aunt, but this risk could have killed her. Don't ever do this again on your own, he orders. Victoria and Nikki say they wanted to capture Jordan and then call him in. Claire explains she would have gone ahead with killing her aunt, but hesitated in order to save Sharon. Her grandfather says she got lucky that Jordan ended up taking the poison herself. Nick joins his family at the ranch. He explains that Sharon is home but shaken up. When he asks if Jordan is in custody, Nikki announces that no one needs to worry about her again. Jordan is dead, she says. They rehash her poisoning herself. Victor gets a message from his team notifying him that the body is now in the morgue. He's sure a lot of questions will follow. Nick asks if she left any clues about Ian. His father assures him they will find him and he will be dealt with. Claire isn't sure she wants to return to the tack house. Nikki suggests they stay in the guest rooms. Chance arrives and is glad to see they are all awake. He informs them the abandoned pickup truck is being dusted for prints. The cop was told that Jordan died and asks what happened. Victor explains that it seems that Jordan broke into the tack house and intended to kill Claire and Victoria. Victoria adds that they discovered her and were going to call the police, but she insisted she wouldn't go back to prison. Claire chimes in that she killed herself, and Victor explains that she had a vial of poison and drank it, dying in front of them. The cops took the vial and body. Chance would like to look at where this happened. Victor and Nick take him. Victoria hopes that's an end of this. It just has to be, says Nikki. They admit to Claire that they both hope she wouldn't be capable of taking Jordan's life. The guilt of it isn't something they wanted her to live with. Claire was willing to do anything and isn't sure she's okay with Jordan ending things. Her grandmother repeats that she's now out of her life forever. Back at the penthouse, Nate tells Amy that he will let her know when he hears from Damien, and then they will play it by ear. Audra is sure that Damien will see his mother's sincerity. They assure her they will be right there with her the whole time. After she hugs them, she exits. Nate tells Audra that what she said to Amy really comforted her. Audra wishes that she had family like Amy. She's sure that Nate must have been a very good doctor given his stellar pep talks. They hope this ends happily, but Nate has no idea what will happen when Damien arrives. He does know that he's in for a shock since his entire world will be turned upside down. Sitting in a chair at home, Sharon flashes back to being trapped in the sewer and chanting her children's names. Cameron appears and assures her that she's on the other side of this. She thinks she should go to bed. He points out she can't sleep. Reminding her that she killed him in the sewer, he adds that the good news is she didn't kill Heather. Sharon still feels terrible for framing Daniel at the worst possible time. We all make mistakes, he says. He urges her to forget about Daniel and look for a way to forgive herself. Sharon never thought she'd hear him preach forgiveness. I hear it sets you free, he says. She thinks he sounds like Nick. She's not there yet, and isn't sure when she will be. He reminds her that she was under the influence of some very heavy drugs. Sharon is sure that Daniel will always associate her with Heather's death, just as she links him with Cassie. Cameron suggests it is possible for them to forgive each other. She doesn't want Daniel worrying about her feelings while he's grieving. That impresses Cameron. She sounds sane and rational. That means this might be their last tango and she won't need him anymore. No offense, but I sure hope not, she says. After Cameron kisses her cheek, he tells her she's extraordinary and it's been a fun ride. When she bids him goodbye, he vanishes at the tack house. Victor, Nick, and Chance talk about Sharon escaping from the sewer after being dosed with PCP again. Nick says she needs to rest and get the drugs out of her system before she talks to the cops. When Chance asks about Jordan's death, Victor says he witnessed it. The only thing she said before she died was that she was working with Ian. She claimed that he killed Heather as part of a warped plan to get close to Maria. Victor is confident that Ward will remain around town until he has completed his agenda to harm his family. They debate how to lure Ian out of hiding, and the cop worries that he could be set off and act out if he learns that his partner in crime is gone. Nick is sure that Maria remains his primary target. That means that she, Tessa, and Aria could be in trouble. Back at Sharon's, she naps on the couch. Suddenly, Maria rushes through the door in tears. "My wife and my baby girl, they're missing," she exclaims.